Very excited about our next guest. Always a pleasure to talk to the one and only Chael P. Sonnen. He is joining us via the magic of Skype, and he is a very happy man. Wow. Not from the usual office with the WEC poster. Where are we right now?
I moved, buddy. I'm literally across the street, but I'm in a new house, and I don't have it set up yet.
Wow, this has thrown me for a loop. I'm used to your usual perch. Look at you living it up. Bigger house. What do we get?
It's a little bit bigger, but it's a little bit newer too. It's right across the street. My wife wanted a new house. I wanted to die in the one I was in, so I got to stay in the same neighborhood. She got a different house. The time was right.
Is it weird seeing a new owner in what was the house that you thought you were going to die in?
Yeah, I drove to it the other day. I drove to it and started to get out of my car, and they were coming down the steps. I'm like, that's right. I don't live here anymore.
Oh, gosh.
Got back in my car and left. Felt like a fool.
Well, life is good for Chael Sonnen. Not only do you have a new house, Friday was a very big day for you, right? And I saw you did an emergency podcast. You're welcome. I saw it. It was a Saturday drop. It did not sneak by me. And you told the world that you are now a free man. Daddy is back, as you put it. You are no longer suspended by the Nevada Athletic Commission. Your 2-year suspension is up. You are free to resume your MMA career. So the floor is yours. Tell us when your MMA career will resume.
Well, I don't have any plan to come back to MMA. Here's where I'm at, Ariel. Here's where I can't come back to MMA if I wanted, because I don't have a license. I have to get a license. So my suspension's up. In theory, I should be able to get a license. But then you have the testing pool. And it's a matter of, am I even eligible for that? And I jumped into the pool, which is a 4-month process. And I've done 2 tests, but I don't have the results back. And in full disclosure, Errol, I don't know what they're going to say. I had substances that break down one through your liver and one through your kidney. And if you take substances that break down through either of those organs, metabolites can last. And the only way you know if they're gone and you're eligible is to take the test.
Okay.
So I took the test, but I don't have the results back. And I can tell you straight up, I do not sleep that easy at night. Now, I only have to pass one. If I can pass the first one, all the rest will be fine. But I have to know that it's out. That's the spot I'm in.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. If you do indeed pass that first one, do you want to resume your MMA career? Is that the green light to keep going?
I sure like to have that option.
Okay.
I mean, that's the whole point, is to have that option. I believe I'm done with MMA, and that's just candidly, but I don't have that option. I am done. I am done unless you can get a license. You know, it's like anything else. You got to be approved to do it. So I would like to have the ability to choose.
Why do you say that you are not sure if you can get a license? Who's not licensing you?
Well, thanks for saying that. I just meant, so I don't know a whole ton about this USADA pool. I kind of got a storm, and the way I ended up on it is a whole nother story. It was kind of unintentional, but with this, I retired before USADA was around.
Sure.
So I've never experienced it. In fact, when USADA came in before they were ever announced, I was the first one tested. The second was supposed to be Vandalay. It blew up in both of our faces. So this whole out of competition and what you can take, and in comp, out of comp, there's just a lot of procedure, and I've never been through it. So as far as getting licensed for the UFC, you have to be in compliance with USADA, and I'm just in the middle of that process, man.
I know that there's a 4-month period in which you need to be tested before you can resume. Can you tell us when that first test was? Because I'm wondering when that 4-month period is up for you, if indeed you want to return.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell you, but not because it's a secret, but because I don't know. And I would miss the Portland card, though. If that's where you were going with that, I would miss the Portland card by like 15 days. Somebody did the math for me, but whatever the answer is, I missed that one by a matter of hours.
Is that disappointing?
Well, I've had a dream to fight at home. I mean, that's a little bit of a fantasy. Now, that usually turns into more of a pain in the ass than anything else. Fighting at home is kind of a tough thing to do. The media, hey, can I get a ticket? All that stuff that goes in with it. And it's not a pay-per-view. I mean, look, I'm not looking to come back. This isn't but I'll be candid with you. I'm trying to test the waters and see that it is an option. If I was to come back, Daddy only fights on paper.
That's right. That's what I was thinking as well. Has anyone from the UFC reached out to you? You know, the brass. Have they said no? Nothing,
no,
really?
I have not heard from anybody, and I don't know if that's because things were changing hands or how all that happened, man. I ended up in the pool on accident. I made a phone call to see if I could take a test. And they said, well, you know, without being in the pool. And I said, yeah, I want to take a test to make sure I can pass the test. And they go, so you're telling us that you took a bunch of banned things and you want to make sure it's out of your system so you don't get caught? And I go, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I took a bunch of stuff that you can't take, and I want to make sure it's like, I thought that made sense. Like, yeah, you know, I don't want to jump in this thing if it's just all going to blow up in my face. And they laugh like that made no, like what I was saying was crazy. And I'm going, well, no, that's exactly what happened. I don't know how this stuff gets out and breaks down. And don't forget. And they go, well, it's been 2 years. There's nothing that sticks around for 2 years that we've heard of. And I say, well, guys, time out. I'm not just worried about that. But when I was no longer in the pool, all the stuff I could have taken while that all becomes relevant.
Sure.
Everything has to be out, and this pool is a very unique thing. As I read about it and watched it, I started to become a real believer. It's very organized. I thought it was kind of disorganized, maybe even underhanded in some spots. It's not. It's very professional the way that it's. There's videos, there's educationals. You have to do a phone call and, you know, ask questions and get told. So it's very organized. But the bottom line is, I was saying, yeah, man, I want a dry run. Give me a dry run at this thing to make sure that I'm in compliance so it doesn't backfire. Somewhere in acquiring, that put me into the pool. The next thing I know, these guys are at my door. And listen, man, that's not a great feeling when you know you've lived on the other side of the tracks. So, again, I only have to pass the first one. If I pass the first one, it's smooth sailing. But I don't know.
To the best of your knowledge, when
you know what else? Yeah. You want to know something else, Eric? I don't want to be tested like everybody else. Like I want it to be on a curve. You know, I want like a curve system. Oh, you had 7 things last time. This time you've only got 3. That's pretty good. Like that's the kind of test I'm looking for, and I'm not sure that's out there.
I think that's a fair point.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah. To the best,
it's good enough for the University of Oregon. It should be good enough for USADA.
That is 100% true. To the best of your knowledge, when's the last time you took a banned substance?
Okay, so this is where it starts to get murky.
Okay.
What is a banned substance? See, that's the other thing.
According to the WADA code.
Yeah, right. And we're not talking about illegal substance. For your viewers, we're not talking about illegal. We're talking about what is banned to be in this very unique pool. And the only way to really, because see, it requires further research, Ariel. When I got jammed up the first time, I had told you, I go, Ariel, I don't know what's banned. I remember you saying we could just Google it. It's like, well, hold on. Let me explain. If you were to Google something or you were to go to the WADA code and it's not on the banned list, then you were to assume that it's on the allowed list. Well, that's not true. For example, I tested positive for something called growth hormone. Well, I never took growth hormone. I took something called Norditropin Flexpen. Norditropin Flexpen is not on the banned list, but it contains an active ingredient that is somatropin. Somatropin is the active ingredient in human growth hormone. So it just requires further. I just lost everybody right there by dropping those big syllables. But the relevance is it requires further research. It's not as simple as saying I'm taking this. You then have to break down what's in that. Now, that's just the rules, and I'm not at all complaining. I'm just saying this is the spot I'm in where you have to be very cognizant. So when you ask me when the last time I took something that was banned, it's like, well, here's the deal, Ariel. The Demetrius Johnson rule is the only one that'll keep you safe. Demetrius Johnson said, and I quote, I'm the UFC champion and I don't know what's allowed. So I only put food and water into my body. Unless you follow that rule, you got to be puckered up like I am.
Can you resume your fighting career and have a successful, second chapter, whatever you want to call it, by just consuming food and water? Or do you need other things because of, the fact that you're older, you've done stuff in the past? You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, that's where it gets tough. Like in the testosterone days when we were allowed to take testosterone, that made really good sense. Now, of course, that got murky and guys took advantage of it and completely backfired. But it made good sense because the world of sport right now belongs to 18 to 25-year-olds. Science has stepped in and goes, well, not so fast. We can actually continue to give you what your body gave you naturally at a later time. So you're seeing guys that are able to extend their careers. That's a pretty cool thing. Guys started to manipulate that, and the whole thing backfired, so you had to do away with it. I was part of that testosterone era, but I was also one of the guys that's like, look, you got to get rid of it. And if that costs us our career, we can't do it anymore, then we can't do it anymore, because the way it's getting done is it's getting bumbled, and it wasn't right. So to your point, it's really tough. You have to find ways. I have to find ways to get my testosterone up. There's something called an IGF-1, which is the scientific term for growth hormone. Those levels I believe in, and I think that you need to find a way to get them up, but you have to do it within the rules. And there's also a misconception, Errol, that performance enhancers are illegal. That isn't true. There's a whole bunch of performance enhancers that you can take, but again, you got to make sure they're on the approved list.
I've been keeping an eye on you. I've been watching you, your various TV appearances. I see you at the events and whatnot. You tend to avoid me, but I continue to watch you from afar. You appear to be in tremendous shape. You're svelte. You're thinner than the last couple of years. To me, to the untrained eye, I would say this man is in shape and continues to be in shape, and is working out for some reason other than just working out. You're not going to the hotel treadmill for 20 minutes. You're doing something. Something's up. That's my take.
I think that's fair. Okay. I've been in the gym. I'm at a gym now, and we've got a lot of guys getting ready to fight. Ed Herman, my teammate, is fighting on the Woodley Lawler card Saturday. I've got a new teammate, Ronnie Marks. You'll remember Ronnie fought Aaron Simpson, Yoel Romero. He just signed with World Series of Fighting. He moved out here from Brazil. So I've got these great guys that I need to do my part and be a good teammate. We've got another guy, Jason Novelli. He just signed with the UFC. Ryan Walker's getting very close. So we've got the right atmosphere, and I go in there every day and insert myself and try to push hard.
Athletes always talk about the itch. When talking about returning, leaving, they lost the itch, they're getting the itch, they need to scratch the itch. Do you have the MMA itch, the professional MMA UFC itch? Is that somewhere on your body? Do you need to scratch it?
I definitely have it, man. I think about it all the time. And it never goes away. I had a college wrestling match with this guy named Zach Thompson out of Iowa State. I was 20 years old. It was half of my life ago. I think about it every day. Every day. And I've talked to guys that are retired and said, hey, does this ever go away? Do these things ever quit haunting you? And like Randy Couture, by example, he's like, no, man, you got to just learn to deal with it. It's just the way it goes. So I definitely have that itch. I fantasize about it. But it's one step at a time here. I'm not holding back from you. I'm not acting like my return is some kind of breaking news. I tell it to you right now, but I have to pass this first test, quite frankly. That it's still out there. I got to pass it. If I pass that, I'll pass all of them. But I have to know that everything's out. Boom, step one down. So, step two, get in shape, get ready to go. I'm there. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go. Step three, be the baddest dude in the world. Come on, Ariel. Come on, buddy. I dominated. This is a fact.
Yeah.
I dominated middleweight. There has never been a middleweight like me. The next closest guy is Anderson Silva. I got 2 10-8 rounds against Anderson. So that's just the truth. There, I have no equal at middleweight.
So it would be fair to say if you pass that test, Chael Sonnen is going to return to MMA. Is that not fair?
Chael Sonnen's going to give it a good look. I mean, that's just the truth. I'm not committed to it. And there's some moving parts. And it does come down to weight class. I tried my hand at 205. I had a little success, but that was all. I had more struggles than I did success. So you got to get the weight classes right. I got to talk to Clayton Hires. I got to see, what he wants to do and how we're going to do it. There's some steps there, man. I'm not holding back. I'm telling you everything I can. But that's it. That's all I can tell you.
But I envision on, I think, June 4th of this past year, a date that I will never forget, Chael Sonnen is either in Oregon or Bristol, Connecticut, and he sees Michael Bisping become the champion. A part of you is saying, like, wait a second. I mean, I beat this guy, and I know it was a close one, but this is a contemporary. If he could be champion in 2016, why can't I?
Yeah, you think like that for sure. Now, I was pumped for Bisping and still am, and I don't understand. I mean, there was things said about Bisping that he shouldn't even have that shot, and I was so confused going, well, look, he just beat Anderson.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't he have this shot? He goes out, he proves it. And there's some rough guys in that weight. I think that Yoel would give him a problem style-wise. Jacare, nobody's arguing against Jacare. He's got Dan Henderson in front of him. There's a lot of guys. I wouldn't just look at who the champion was, but you look at that 1 through 10, and I either beat him or in theory, could do very well with them. So yeah, you think about that all the time.
I noticed on that 10-minute podcast you dropped this weekend that you said that you put out the blueprint as to how to handle these positive tests, and I agree with you 100%. In fact, I told you this the first time we spoke on your podcast. You come out, you're honest, you say, look, hands up, I fess up, I made a mistake, let's move on. People are very understandable. Are you surprised that so many of these fighters don't go that route and do the whole, I don't know what this is, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah, I didn't even go as far as to say it was a mistake. Look, it was a premeditated decision done by a consenting adult. I just got jammed up. And people ask me all the time, why did you take it? It's like, why did I take? Because I didn't think I would get caught. What do you mean, why would I take it? What are you, stupid? Come on. It was like the most ridiculous thing. And then Ariel, I watched guys come in the door behind me to the same commission. I watched them lie. They never fessed up. Some of them pretended to not speak English to not answer the question. They all had these BS stories while they're under oath. Look, you want to come on Ariel's show and tell your story? Go ahead. You want to come on my show? Tell your story. You go get sworn in. The gig is up. That's where you say what really happened. Yeah. You walk out of that room. You go back to telling your story. Guys went in there lying under oath. One of them claimed he didn't understand them. Oh, I don't understand you. Goes back to speaking English. You're going, this is ridiculous. Those guys all slid. Those guys are fighting. They were suspended after I was. They've already been in the octagon a couple times. I'm not faulting them. More power to them. But it is sometimes I do get confused and go, wait a minute. If you do everything right, you come in, listen, here's what happened. You got me. And you're going to sit twice as long as a guy that comes in with steroids. I never had steroids. The headlines, I was never even accused of steroids. You're going to come in and that guy's going to go back at it because he stuck to a story. I mean, there's something to just lie. I don't subscribe to it, but there is something to it, and they keep getting off.
Last time you were on this show, you used the term "basically clean." That has become this catchphrase. Pretty much. Yeah. How would you describe yourself now?
Basically. Okay. Yeah, basically. I think I don't want to be tested like everybody else, Daryl. I want it to be on a curve. I mean, a lot of things in life look like that. So I think that's a reasonable argument. I don't know if it'll hold up or not, but that's what I told him.
You also expressed some interest in fighting GSP. He was on this show shortly thereafter and sort of shot down that idea. A, what did you think of that? And B, if you get by and if all the ducks are in a row, blah, 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 is there anyone else you have your eye on?
Well, yeah, and I don't know that I'm looking to fight GSP or whatever, but if he came back and if you're asking me what a big fight would be, GSP, if he comes back, and I happen to think that he will, he might go all the way down to 155. I don't think that makes sense or that he should, but he might go all the way to 155. I mean, I don't know. There's something about moving up in weight that George has just never really wanted to do. We even missed out on the George versus Anderson fight. Excuse me, and it was a size issue. George there's something about, he gets his ideas in his head and he stays super focused and disciplined on them. So I had a phone call from GSP. Oh. And he calls me and he says, Chael, I'm going to do my best, GSP. Chael, are you out at the club? And I said, no, George, I'm in bed. And he says, why are you not at the club? And it's like, well, first off, in my town, we call them bars. We don't call them club. But secondly, I'm just not. He says, Chael, I really like you. And I said, well, I like you too, George. And he says, no. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you, but I really like you. And I go, okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you, George. And he says, I think your commentary is very good. And I said, well, I try to just call it straight. And he goes, no. You do nothing straight. You are very ethically challenged. Nothing is straight, but I like you. He just kept insulting me while telling me he likes me. And it was hilarious. And I'm like, okay, George never calls me. If I call him, he'll call me back. If I text him, he'll text me. He never reaches out to me, And so it was just funny, just the whole thing. I'm like, George, and the whole time I'm thinking is he's complimenting me and insulting me. George, I just try to call it straight. No, you don't do anything straight. You are very corrupt. And it's like, okay, George, do we need to fight? Is that what this call is? Is that where this is going? Just a funny George story. He's great though. George is great, and he works his ass off. He works so hard. Even when George travels, and he travels a lot, he always lines up workouts. You see him with Freddie Roach. He doesn't live in California, but if he visits California, he visits the Wild Card. He's focused, man. I don't know why he hasn't thrown his hat back in there.
I feel like it's still in play. I still feel like it's attainable for you, that fight.
It could. I mean, if I wanted to get it going, I'd get it going right now. But it's one of those things. He's in a different weight class. I don't have any. What am I trying to do there? So, and he's a buddy. What I'm going to come out and double cross him and stab him. But I would let him know first. Hey, George, I'm about to stab you in the back.
Yeah.
So just be ready for it.
Pull a little Ted Cruz on him.
It's the scorpion and the frog. He knows what it's like to be buddies with a gangster. Your number could come up at any time. Many of them have.
You be Ted Cruz, he'll be Donald.
What a suicide note Ted Cruz read, huh?
I know you have to go soon, so let me quickly ask you. You had your first Submission Underground event 2 weekends ago. How was it? Will there be a second one?
It was awesome. I mean, it was so much fun. You get into those spaces, you want to have fun. You got to do things right. You need some help with the card, and you have some luck that comes together. But when it all did, man, it was a ton of work. But when it all did, it was so much fun. And yes, we've already got a second date booked, December 11th. It'll be back in Portland. It's going to be great. We got some stuff in the works. In fact, I got a text message out to Bachecha right now. I'm waiting to hear back from him.
True or false, you will be competing against Tim Kennedy on that card, December 11th.
Supposedly true. I can't confirm it yet. Tim has said yes. I have said yes. Now it's just a matter of, can I do both? Can I promote and put a show on and then go out and compete it at the same time? I think that the answer is yes, but I need to talk to Tim. And that's it. Tim's always been in a tough spot area. Brian Stan had the same problem, right? You got these guys that are incredible fighters. They're good looking. They can talk. They can do everything, but they could never have an opponent. And this is one of the things that hurt Stan's career, and it's also hurting Tim's career. These guys are heroes. So they're off limits in so many ways. And it's like, it's really hard to get an opponent that's going to come out and do what needs to be done to hype something. I'm not that happy with Tim Kennedy right now, but most of it I have to keep inside, and I think that hurts the promotion. I think that it's hurt Tim's career, but I really don't know what to do with it. I can't say much about a guy that's out serving the country. I just can't.
Fair point, though. Tim has been a little more polarizing than Brian. I always felt that the most awkward booking in UFC history was booking you versus Brian Stan upon your return from that break post 117, because you literally could not say anything about Brian Stan, and it made you into this, choir boy, and no one wanted to see that. So I get what you're saying. Another true or false for you before I let you go. Ari Emanuel has called you up and said, "Forget fighting. We want you to be the face of the UFC."
No,
okay.
I have not heard. Here's my contact to Ari. I've met Ari and all that, but I've never talked business with him. By the way, is he going to CEO the company? He's not. He's CEOing the company that's going to run the company. Or he's not stepping into Lorenzo's spot.
Not that I understand, but it's very unknown at this point. Not a lot of
it's very unknown.
Yeah.
I've never talked business with him. A former congressman in Oregon, Derek Kitts, who's a friend of mine, went to work for Ariel. I apologize. Yeah, Ari. So I talked to him through the congressman, but no, I've never talked business with him. And I'm very curious what he's going to do. And movie work sucks. Every actor wants to be an athlete. Every athlete wants to be an actor. You go out on those movie sets, man. It's hurry up and wait. Those jobs suck.
Okay, so final thing to wrap this up for the fans who are praying and wishing and hoping and trying to push you to come back. You're free. You can do what you want. You're in the testing pool. You hope to get a license if everything goes well, and you're leaning towards fighting again. We might even see you back in 2016. Fair?
Aaron, if I pass this first test, we could be having a totally different talk. But I'm just being candid with you. I really don't know what's going to happen or what's left.
When's the results coming?
That's the thing. Okay, so see, that's the thing, is you only get called if you fail the test.
Come on.
If you call these guys up like I want to do and go, hey, those results back, then they start going, well, why? Why would you not know you're going to pass? And it's like, guys, because I took everything in the world that you can't take. I don't know how to be any. This is what happened. Would you just tell me if I passed or not? And every time I ask someone like that, they act like it's the most corrupt question in the world. It's like, God, I just needed one test. If I pass one, I'm smooth sailing, but yes, this happened and I need to know. And it doesn't matter how many times I ask here. It's like they think I'm kidding or something. It's like, no, this is what truth is. You guys just have never heard it before.
I look forward to your return, Chael. It's good.
Thank you, buddy. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the excitement? Chael P. Sonnen, the one and only, often duplicated. I think I've already screwed up that promo. I think I already screwed up the promo. Can you believe that? That might be a first time, and it will still be gold, because if the bad guy makes the walk, Ariel, oh my goodness, the excitement that you would have, that would literally send chills up and down your scrawny little spine.
Thank you, Chael. Appreciate it.
What was the line I was looking for? Often imitated,
there you
never
go.
duplicated.
I was waiting for the,
Kaboom.
Oh, God bless Chael Sonnen. Great stuff there. Often imitated, never duplicated. But yeah, sounds to me like he is itching to come back. Welcome back, Chael Sonnen.